Taking a look at some of our Alaska news for this Tuesday morning. It is September 12th, 2017. The Geophysical Institute at UAF is now aiming some of its research more specifically toward the Defense Department. This is something which I think is worth noting, that they're intentionally doing this to try to attract more federal funding, which is, of course, what universities that have become dependent on federal funding do. They look for other ways to continue to get the federal funding. Now they're looking specifically for Department of Defense applications for some of the things that they've been researching, of course, including volcanoes and earthquakes and auroras. One of the projects, of course, that was originally built by the Department of Defense that UAF is interested in getting the DoD back on board with is HARP. We can talk about that at some point. If you don't know what HARP is or what it allegedly does, I'd love to talk about that at some point. A man is in custody after the discovery of a body in a downtown Anchorage business. Not a lot of details. Basically, a man came into work on Monday morning and found a dead man in the store. A couple of hours later, somebody was in custody. I haven't said straight up if this was a murder, but I guess we can kind of connect some of the dots. The state of Alaska is proposing the final phase of the cleanup of the Wrangell Junkyard site. This, of course, is one of those issues that goes back to what you're talking about, decades of things like batteries and cars and other, whatnot being thrown into the landfill. And they're afraid of this stuff leaching down into the soil and then potentially contaminating the fish. And now they've cleaned it all up, and they have to figure out what to do with this contaminated soil. The city of Anchorage is actually considering a new greenbelt connection for about $1 million. This will be at tonight's council meeting in Anchorage. If you don't know what's going on, it's the same kind of thing as happening in Fairbanks. So they've got the $1.6 million bike path. I'm not sure how many people actually use the bike path, but this is public money, of course. Now, they're pointing out that here in Anchorage, the majority of this money is coming from federal grants. Plus, we have a lot more people who could ride their bikes to work, and we're hoping that they will. The Anchorage police have announced the arrest of a woman that's been wanted, actually, for over a week, allegedly shooting a man in broad daylight. And a judge has approved the sale of Alaska's largest newspaper to a Fairbanks business group. That's the Alaska Dispatch News. If you're not aware of the history of it, it used to be called the Anchorage Daily News. It was actually, relatively successful, I guess, as far as print news media are concerned. And then with the arrival of online news media, they began to see their sales going down. People stopped buying the subscriptions, whatnot. The Alaska Dispatch, which was one of those online publications, bought the Alaska Dispatch News, the Anchorage Daily News, and kept that name, ADN, for their website. So they just kind of rebranded as the Alaska Dispatch News. Well, they've been losing money since the beginning of that arrangement. I believe it was, $14 million? Or was it more than that, $34 million? Anyway, whatever they bought it for, they've been losing $500,000 a day. It's just completely running the business into the ground. Now it has been bought for a measly $1 million. And the judge said he had to bite his lip and not ask what makes them think that they can turn this around and make money when it's been losing money at such an enormous rate for so long. We'll see how it goes. I wish Mr. Binkley and the Binkley Family Group all the success in the world. I actually think that ADN is probably one of the best news sources in Alaska. If you'd like to engage me on any of these topics, send me an email, steve@radiofreespeech.com.